Hi guys, hope you're all okay. I just wanted to take you through today how to answer a 15 marker. So this is the sinister question that I asked you to do for me last week. Well done to everyone that's handed it in. I'm aware that you haven't done any kind of writing for half a year, so I am going to try and be quite kind when I mark your work as we progress through the year. As always, my marking is going to become more strict just so that we do meet the required level by the time of the exam. I would always rather you did better than you expected to than I was easy on you and you did worse. So this is an essay from the student I have permission from to go over how to write this question. So the question was, how are media languages used in the poster for Sinister? And we should have been looking at the colour, the pose, the costume, the mode of address, the language, and any intertextual references, any kind of genre references. So here we say media languages are employed in a sinister poster to combine creating the supernatural horror genre and an exaggerated version of reality with suggestive disequilibrium and enigma codes. Now that is an excellent sentence. So we mentioned first of all the combination of media languages. We mentioned the text. We talk about which genres are created. So we talk about hybridization and an exaggerated version of reality. So straight away in that first sentence, we are bringing in Baudrillard, who is one of our most difficult media language theorists, with a suggested disequilibrium, so Todorov, and enigma codes, Barthes. So we've got Neil, Baudrillard, Todorov, Barthes, and a reference to the text. 5 things in that first sentence, okay? So this is what I mean when I say your language needs to be concise. Strip away all the words you don't need. Try not to repeat yourself, okay? Next, we say the sinister poster creates polysemic meanings through the use of the young girl and surrounding enigmas. So polysemy is another term, another of our media language terms. It's another term from, I think, Barthes. Polysemy, as you know, just means something has more than one meaning. So we talk about the young girl and surrounding enigmas, the action code of the blonde girl seen in the long shot. So we pick out a point of the mise-en-scène and we talk about the camera work, walking towards the edge of the poster while appearing to smear the blood on the wall behind her. We would need to talk about, just for a little bit more, how it appears to be blood or how it is constructed to be blood. It's anchored on the word sinister, it's anchored on that girl, and we see kind of semiotic codes, the symbolic code or the referential code of kind of a frowning skull or an evil face in that liquid that's falling down the wall. So just for another mark, this person would have perhaps talked about how it's all constructed and anchored to look like blood rather than actually being blood. So that shot of her walking could signify that she could be saved, but the fact that it's her blood, the fact that she's barefoot, the fact that she's in this room with the bare walls suggests that perhaps she's been abandoned, suggests that perhaps this little girl is the thing that needs to be avoided. Is it her blood on the wall? Also another question. So there are lots and lots of things that we can discuss just from that one point already, from the red drips on the wall signifying blood. One person also brought up the spool of tape that's on the floor. I'm surprised more of you didn't see this. Perhaps suggesting something like Ring, where you have to watch the film in order to be doomed. So once you see him could be a direct reference to that spool of tape on the floor. And maybe this girl has seen him on that tape. So we are suggesting that this is perhaps a hybrid of supernatural and horror. Through the use of the anchorage, we assume that once you see him, refers to that demonic figure created by the blood on the wall. And through this, it inhibits cathartic emotions for the audience. So it doesn't allow the audience to kind of get rid of those negative feelings. It encourages the audience to kind of dwell on those negative feelings and therefore attracts a pre-sold audience who like to feel like this. So we've got that direct address, which personalises that tagline. So once you see him, nothing can save you. So that personal pronouns of you and him kind of draws the audience into the film and helps them become part of the hyper reality, the kind of the false reality of this film. So the state of equilibrium is going to be disrupted to one of disequilibrium once you see the film, but when this will happen, or what they cannot be saved from, remains an enigma. So there we're encouraging the audience to see this film. Next, we talk about Baudrillard. We say, creating a version of reality, this graphic poster is intended to deceive audiences into believing the simulation, into kind of buying into the reality of this film. So first of all, by understanding that it's fictional, the audience already has a media literate understanding of horror texts, but also to then buy into that that false reality, that simulation, is a way for attracting pre-sold audiences to the film. So the intensity of this means that the horror poster typically make use of one image as repeated across the whole campaign. So we're likely to see across all of the posters, and possibly in part of the trailer, this kind of imagery. You can also see the word sinistrous, like it's blurred and it's running down the walls, like it's a stain on the wall. So maybe it's this very building that is haunted or possessed, and which is putting this young girl in danger or making her the danger. And as it says there, the faded text is combined with that serif font to suggest the age of the murders that occur in the film, and the supernatural forces living in the victims' houses. So perhaps this is an evil that's been around for a long time. And the contrast of the word sinister as an old evil force acts in binary opposition to the innocence and youthfulness of that blonde girl with the pale skin in the poster. So we can note purity through the white clothes, the pale hair. So we do have that binary of good and evil. The title also angles to the cracks in the wall, suggesting the decay and the age of the building that will be occupied. So maybe, again, this girl has been abandoned. Maybe there was no hope for her. So she was required to, or people were required to leave her in that building with that evil. Next, we come to, as a horror film made by the same producer of Paranormal Activity and Insidious, this provides synergy, so we kind of let those two texts work together to amplify the audience response, and it has to be recognised by audience who've seen both of those films, or at least seen both those ad campaigns. So therefore, we have the audience who saw Idios, saw Paranormal Activity, Insidious, and enjoyed it and want to see more of it. But then we also have the audience who perhaps saw the ad campaigns for those films and knows to stay away from them. So we do have quite a loyal audience, but we also have an audience of people who would avoid that film. Those two films, the first thing to be read in the Z line. So we have the tagline actually kind of below the title, so towards the centre of the page. Above the title is the names of those other films, Paranormal Activity and Insidious. So the producer is playing on the importance and the success of those texts, and basically making a pre-sold package for the audience. So if the audience like those films, they know they're going to get a quality product that will offer them kind of similar escapist feelings of fear, that thrill, that tension, that suspense. So similar to Kiss the Vampire, Sinister makes use of a dull, desaturated colour scheme, so there's no requirement to mention other texts, but it's nice that this person has. With the dripping blood, I would put the blood in inverted commas, acting as a highlight. This, along with the title and the tagline, combine to give ideas about the genre, as these gloomy colours reinforce the conventions of the horror genre, which conveys this kind of this atmosphere of blood, of death, of psychosis, of possession. And then the graphic nature of the poster combined with the colour palette create the genre of the film and an exaggerated version of reality, which poses a threat to the disequilibrium of once you see him. So before you saw him, everything was fine. And then the outstanding enigma of both of those characters, the person whose face we see in the blood, inverted commas, on the wall, and that young girl there. The only way I would improve this would be to say, in conclusion, at the end of this last paragraph. So this is a really solid 15 marker, lots and lots of theory, very concise, really well written. Go back over this, watch it again, take notes. If you want to have another go at the Sinister essay, I'm probably not going to get to mark it by the time we come to the mock, but I will do my best to mark it after the mocks have been sat. All right, thanks.